G'day again guys, and thank you for joining me. So this week I wanted to tackle a little bit of a beast, something that I've been contemplating for a very long time, and that is completing a portrait using colour pencils. Now, I've been using my colour pencils for 4.5, going on 5 years now, and the last time I attempted to draw a portrait using colour pencils was way back in the beginning, when I was first learning to translate my graphite art into the world of colour. Well, as you can imagine, I feel like my colour pencil skills have evolved over that time, and I've been feeling the need to sort of test out those skills and see if I can apply some of that new knowledge to what used to be one of my favourite subjects. But here we run into my first problem: who to draw. Now, I know plenty of artists that would quite happily draw a celebrity or a TV character, but I just can't. I don't want to draw some random celebrity, and I have drawn characters in the past, but I really just can't think of one at the moment that really inspires me to draw their face. Maybe the 12th Doctor, but honestly, I'm pretty cut about losing him, so maybe not. So whose face was I going to practice on? I have been dwelling on this problem for a couple of months now, until one evening when I took my camera along while my husband was out fishing. There was some smoke in the air from some local bushfires, and the sunset was just this brilliant orange red, and I wanted to get some nice photos of some local scenery to have hanging around my house. Well, in between shots, I managed to sneakily turn around and managed to get just a couple of really candid shots of my husband in before he realised what I was doing, and it was absolute gold. I loved the lighting and the pose of one of these photos, so I took a bit of a chance and I asked him if he would allow me to draw his face and put it all over the internet for everyone to see. Now, he's not much of a social media type person, definitely not a big sharer, so I didn't rate my chances very highly that he would be down with this plan. But to my surprise, he was like, yeah, go for it. And so I had to do this piece. I chose to use my pastelmat paper because I thought that it would allow me to build up my layers of colour and create those skin tones and textures more easily than standard watercolour paper. At first I was planning to create a base layer with my pan pastels and then to build up the layers on top. But once I had that line work down on the paper, at the very last second I changed my mind and decided to make this piece 100% colour pencil. Now, I wasn't sure if this was going to be a good move or not, but once I started with those pencils, I was pretty much committed. Now, just for reference, I used my Polychromos and my Luminance pencils in this particular piece. I was actually really surprised by how easily these pencils went down onto the page. I was going into this expecting to have to use a lot more layers of colour to build up to a nice skin tone, but once again the pastelmat really did step up and did a lot of the heavy lifting for me. The textured surface meant that my pencils seemed to want to blend together on the surface really easily. As I layered each colour down onto the paper, they almost automatically blended together on the paper, and I didn't use any solvents on the face portion of this piece at all. As I went forward, I was really surprised to find myself experiencing this almost like painting with oil paint, where the pigments were going down and they were really happy to just keep blending together, slightly lightening and darkening each other and working together really easily without needing to fight them or use any solvents to get them to work together on the page. Also, without trying to sound like a complete walking advertisement for the pastelmat, I was really impressed with the texture of the skin that I was able to achieve with this textured surface. Now, the pastelmat's got a little bit of a knobbly, uneven surface to it, but as the colour pencil built up on it, from a distance, the coverage looks so silky smooth. But as you move up towards the paper, you can start to see those little imperfections and the little divots and the little changes in texture that come up close. And I think that's very similar to a human skin texture. I mean, from a distance, most people, they're looking very smooth and very, the skin texture is very luminous, but as you get up close, you start to see the pores and the imperfections and the little bits that are just that little bit not quite so smooth. And I really like that the pastelmat imitates that so accurately. I was really impressed. I don't think I could have done this piece on my standard watercolor paper to anywhere near the standard that I was able to achieve on this pastelmat. There are so many things that I love about this piece. I do love the texture of the skin. I love the colours in the skin. I love those warm tones coming from the left. I love the cool tones coming from behind him. I love the way the hair was coloured. I love the beard hairs. There are so many things that I'm really proud of in this particular piece. But there's one thing I did really wrong. Okay, so excuse the mess. I do have a lot of projects going on at the moment. So where did I go so wrong? Well, usually when I'm working on my pieces, I'm working flat on my desk like this. And when I'm looking at this drawing across like this, on this particular angle, it's perfect. This is my husband, absolutely faultless, cannot fault this piece, looks absolutely brilliant. But then I go to mount it up like this, and it's not right. It's just not right. There's a little skew of perspective that just elongates some things that shouldn't be, and a couple of angles that they're just not right. Now, experienced portrait artists would know this, that it's very easy to skew a perspective on a drawing when you're drawing on a flat surface like that. Usually I can kind of get away with that, especially as I have this viewfinder just above my head, and as I'm working, I'm usually checking in that viewfinder and just getting that second angle, which helps me sort of see where I'm going off angle. But I think this time I was just a little bit too engrossed in the task. I really didn't take the time to look at that viewfinder often enough, and the end result is just, it's just not quite right. Honestly, it's close, but it's not something that I could hang on my wall because it's just ever so slightly not good enough that it's gonna bug me. Anyway, I haven't really lost anything for this experience. Yes, it's only about 95% what I wanted it to be, but I have had that chance to really sort of push myself in my skills, have a really good look to see how much I have gained over the years, and it's been a really good experience, and I did have a lot of fun creating this, but it's not quite there yet. But that's okay, probably never will be, so that's fine. So here's the final piece. I did have a lot of fun creating this, and I'm really glad I took that time to reach outside that comfort zone and do something that did feel a little bit too hard to start with. While the end result isn't 100% of what I wanted it to be, I did learn a lot from this piece, and honestly, really, that's the goal of every single piece I create. I would just like to take a moment to thank my husband for allowing me to put his face all over the internet like this. I know that wasn't an easy thing to say yes to, and I really do appreciate the support. I would also like to take a moment to thank my patrons. I do have 3 real-time videos showing this piece from start to finish available to my $5 patrons now. I really do talk through every single step of this process, all of the things I did right and all of the things that I did wrong. So if you're interested in that, then head on over to my Patreon site now. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please leave me a like or comment to tell me what you think, and if you'd like to see some more of my work, then why not hit that subscribe button. Until next time, thanks for watching, guys.